Hello fellow lovers of the liminal and the weird, and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces. Today I'm going to be doing the second part of my library collection, specifically looking at the letter M in my sci-fi collection. The first part of this video was, of course, all the other books that I have in the letter M. This video will be looking specifically at Michael Moorcock. I haven't had as much trouble with any writer as I have with trying to figure out what I had and what part of collections they go into with Michael Moorcock. He's written many, many series. His books have been renamed many different times, and this was a confusing mess. I've had to pull all the Moorcock I have. I don't usually do this, but I even pulled the DAWs in order to be able to show which books of which series I own by Michael Moorcock. So this is the only time I'm going to do the DAWs separately instead of with themselves. And I am going to do the DAWs once I get done with my full science fiction library that's over here. So we're going to look today at what Michael Moorcock books I have. We're going to start with Elric of Melniboné. I think I'm saying that right. Melniboné. I have this hardback, which is very beautiful, but has been water damaged at one point. It includes a cool map, but it includes, from what I can tell, Eric of Melniboné, the Fortress of the Pearl, the Cellar of the Seas of Fates, the Dreaming City, While the Gods Laugh, and the Singing Citadel, which might be the first series, the complete first series, I'm not sure, but this is a cool hardback. I also have this copy of Elric of Melniboné, the Daw, the Sailor on the Seas of Fate, and I think these, this is the order that they're on Wikipedia, so that's kind of the order I just put them in. The Weird of the White Wolf. And I'm sure that there's a better way to do this order, and I'm sure there's videos on Outlaw Booksellers' site. And I do plan to go and look at how he orders all these books. The Sleeping Sorceress, which in my version is called The Vanishing Tower. As you can tell, I go back and forth between DAWs and these Berkeley fantasy copies. Next is The Bane of the Black Sword, which I have a DAW version. Love that cover art. Michael Whelan did the cover art for that. Stormbringer. I also have the DAW Stormbringer. This is one of my best condition DAWs. I mean, it feels like I just pulled it off the shelf. DAW number 264 in incredible condition. And then I have this, and I don't know where this fits. It's a DAW book, and it's called Elric at the End of Time. And it says that it's the 7th book of the trilogy, so it would put it right after Stormbringer, but it's not listed. The Wikipedia article is probably wrong, is why. Elric at the End of Time, the 7th in that series. So I've got the hardback of all those, or a large chunk of those, and then all these paperbacks. And then I've got the Fortress of the Pearl, an all-new Elric novel. This is a BCE. And I don't think I've ever seen a paperback of this one, only this hardcover that I've found. And again, I collect these at thrift stores and yard sales and estate sales. That's why there's so many different covers and styles in my collection. Next I have The Revenge of the Rose, which is an all-new Elric novel, 1991, book designed by Karen Harris. Caron Harris, I don't know how to say that name. Book Club edition. Next I have the Quorum series. And number 1 in the Quorum series is The Knight of Swords. And this is another Berkeley cover. And I don't know if Michael Whelan's doing this art as well, too. Let's see. Not going to tell us. Okay. Next is The Queen of Swords, followed by The King of Swords. All these in Berkeley. So that was the first trilogy, and then there was another trilogy of Corum that starts with the Bowl and the Spear. And this is a Berkeley, looks like an earlier Berkeley printing. It still has the cigarette advertisement in the middle there. Next is the Oak and the Ram. Back to the newer Berkeley prints. And finally, the Sword and the Stallion, and this is an earlier Berkeley print. It says second printing, doesn't tell us who did the art on that one. Next is the Hawkmoon series, and I do have this book, which is printed by the same people that did that other Elric book that I showed, with cool map. And this includes the Jewel in the Skull, the Mad God's Amulet, the Sword of Dawn, and the Rune Staff. So apparently that's the whole Hawkmoon series, although I think there's probably more now. Maybe not. Yeah, there is more. So I also have the Daw Jewel in the Skull. This book is dedicated to Dave Brock. Awesome. Hawkwind. One of the founders of Hawkwind. So cool. Cover art by Richard Clifton Day. Jewel in the Skull. Next is the Sorcerer's Amulet, which I only have in this hardback book. That one I have not found a paperback copy of. Next is the Sword of the Dawn. Here's my DAW copy. This is not a first edition DAW copy, unfortunately. It's a later printing. Cover art by Richard Clifton Day and maps by John Collier. Next is The Secret of the Rune Staff. This is a Lancer copy of that book. It doesn't say who did that front cover that I can see. A Lancer book never before published, so this is the first paperback publication of it. That's cool. Yeah, so those four were the first set. And then he came out later with the Chronicles of Castle Brass is the second Hawkwind series. And that has Count Brass. And this is a Dell copy of Count Brass. Don't know who did the cover art on that one. And then after Count Brass, we have the Champion of Garathorm. This is also Dell. 1973 this came out. And last but not least, The Quest for Tanalorn. And this goes back to these Berkeley re-releases of all his work. So that is the Hawkmoon series. Next up is the Jerry Cornelius series. I have read the first one and really enjoyed it. Here's my copy of the final program, released in the United States by Avon in 1968. Really good time. I have a later book called A Cornelius Calendar, which I think are later Jerry Cornelius books. This is a book I'm really happy to have found. I found this at my local library sale, and the best thing about this is that it is signed. You can see that Michael Moorcock scratched his signature over his name here, and the pen even goes down into the black here. Let's see if I can... Really happy to have Michael Moorcock's signature. Very, very cool. Next is the Aracoses series. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. Phoenix in Obsidian is the second one. The Eternal Champion is the first one, which I would love to find a copy of. I haven't found one in the wild, so it might be time to go start looking at eBay. The second one is called The Phoenix in Obsidian, and also called The Silver Warriors, which is what they called it in the Berkeley reprints here that I have. The third one is The Dragon in the Sword, and unfortunately I don't have that one either, so I only have one from the Aracose series. The next series is Jarek Carnelian and the Dancers at the End of Time. Of course, that sounded a lot like Jerry Cornelius. And the first one is An Alien Heat. And I do have a hardback book club edition of An Alien Heat that I'm happy to have. And I also have an early Avon copy of that as well. So I've got 2 copies of that. After that is the HoloLands, which I have another early Avon for. And then it's the End of All Songs, which unfortunately I don't have a copy of, one that I am looking for. And then a couple of short stories from the same universe were put into one book called Legends from the End of Time. And then a Messiah at the End of Time also fits into this category. I think it's short stories. I know it used to have another name. Yeah, first American publication. The British title is The Transformation of Miss Mavis Ming. So it's another one that they renamed. This is a DAW copy. Cover art by Bob Pepper. So, as you can tell, this gets super confusing. Next is the Oswald Bastable series, and that starts with The Warlord of the Air, which I have a DAW copy of. Cover art by Gino Diachile. I don't know if I said that name right, but very cool looking. Next is the Land Leviathan, which I have the DAW for here as well. Cover art by Michael Whelan again. It says Washington, D.C. on this sign there. Very cool. I also happen to have a hardcover of this one with a really great picture of Michael Moorcock, and I'm guessing his son or daughter on the back there. Very cool. Original price $4.95. And this is a first American edition of the Land Leviathan. The last is the Steel Czar, and I don't have that one, unfortunately. Next is the Traveling to Utopia series. The first one in that one is The Wrecks of Time, aka The Rituals of Infinity. I don't have that one, but I do have the next one, which is The Ice Schooner. And here I have a early Berkeley print of The Ice Schooner. First American publication, it says. Doesn't tell us who did that front, but there's The Ice Schooner. And the last one in that is The Black Corridor, another one that I wish I had for Hawkwind Connections, but I do not. I also have a DAW book here called Master of the Pit, or Barbarians of Mars. This is part of a Mars trilogy, or series that he did. This is the only one I have from the series. And it was originally called Barbarians of Mars. The DAW called it Masters of the Pit, which is why I get confused about it. Cool art inside here. Cover art by Richard Hescox. These are ones that I couldn't figure out where they fit. The Time Dweller. I don't know if this is just a standalone fun sci-fi novel, or if it connects to another series. It's really hard to tell with him. Cover art by Pujolar. And Moorcock and Butterworth. The Time of the Hawk Lords. Awesome rock and roll cover on that thing. I love it. Star Books. For Dick, Mick, Terry, and Dell. Fantastic. This is a British publication. Don't know what it is. Looks awesome. Obvious Hawkwind connections here. Really, really cool. And there it is. That is all my Michael Moorcock. It is very difficult to track down what goes where with Michael Moorcock. I am sure there are much better ways to look than Wikipedia. I was just doing this really quick. ISFDB, Science Fiction Database, ISFDB, probably puts them together better. And then, of course, Outlaw Bookseller really knows his Michael Moorcock, and I'm sure could and probably already has in old videos talked about how to put these together into series. So, all right. I hope you enjoyed looking at all of my Michael Moorcocks. If you liked this, click like. If you liked this kind of content, please click subscribe, because we'll be making a lot more of it in the future. And thank you so much for watching.